Zechariah Jackson from the Church of What's Happening Now. This morning we're going to be interviewing Dr. Howard. This is the Because National News Network, which is owned and sponsored by the Church of What's Happening Now. We're happy to have Dr. Howard and her husband Sam Howard, which is here. That's a good thing. And we're just going to talk about some of the things with the school system and everything. And people are interested, and we're interested. So introduce yourself, Dr. Howard.
Yes, good morning. I'm Paula Howard, Superintendent of the Plainfield Schools, and loving it. And I have with me to my left my husband, Sam Howard, who is Vice President of Imagine Schools, which is a charter school company throughout the nation.
Well done. Introduce yourself.
Good morning. I'm glad to be here. Thank you.
It's nice to have both educators here. You know, you heard my program earlier, the Church of What's Happening Now. In the black community, we constantly faced with, I don't want to call it brutality, but from the mainstream, we always kind of get bopped over the head. And I talked about earlier the White House correspondent that President Bush nominated to be the correspondent of the White House, and for him to use the word tar baby in explaining, he said, in explaining actually what was going on with the wiretapping of the telephones, and he said no one wants to really touch the tar baby. And again, you know, we feel that right there. We feel that right there a lot, you know. So we really, you know, enjoy having two black educators, and here in the house, both Dr. Howard, Dr. Paula Howard, and her husband Sam Howard. So, all right, we're going to start with a question, and I guess what I want to know is, why would the parents in Plainfield choose the public school over private school, Dr. Howard?
That's a very good question. I think that what we need to understand is that in public education, we have every opportunity. We have all of the resources that is necessary to provide just a powerful, lofty educational opportunity.
Hold on. Is it on now? Okay, turn that one on too. Okay. Do we start over? Okay. So we're going to start over? All right. Oh, wow. Okay. All right, well, we're going to start over. My mic wasn't on, and that's going to cost us a few minutes, but we don't mind it. This is actually Because National News Network, which is owned and operated by the Church of What's Happening Now. This morning we have Dr. Paula Howard and her husband Sam Howard, two educators. You know, we think of Booker T. Washington, you know, and his journey in education, you know, coming, a book I believe he written, Up from Slavery, and so we think of those journeys, and today in the school system and in the city council, especially in this town here, Plainfield, it really reflects us. So today I'm going to have Dr. Howard again introduce herself and her husband, Sam Howard.
Okay, good morning. I'm Paula Howard, Superintendent of the Plainfield Public Schools, and loving every moment of it. And to my left is my husband, Sam Howard, who is Vice President of Imagine Schools, which is a charter school company across the nation.
Good morning. I'm glad to be here.
Okay, and that's Sam Howard, Dr. Howard's husband. I'm gonna ask the question about why. I'm gonna ask Dr. Howard a question. Why should the parents in Plainfield choose Plainfield High School over a private school?
Okay.
Plainfield Schools, I'm sorry.
All right. The reason that I would choose Plainfield Public Schools or High School over a private school is because of the resources. Plainfield High School is a best kept secret. It's amazing all of the opportunities that are offered to children and all of the resources that are there. And I invite all of the community to come in, take a tour, take some time to see all of the opportunities that are offered to youth. We have youth that are walking out of Plainfield High School going into MIT, going into Rutgers, Mason, all of the top universities. And we couldn't do that if we weren't providing the type of opportunities or educational opportunities that would allow children to go to these prestigious institutions.
Well, you know, Dr. Howard, the light that you're offering, to Plainfield is so different than what we're used to. You know, I've been in Plainfield since 1988, and I've always heard of the negativity about the Plainfield school system and everything. And I was really touched by Lenny Cathcart, President Lenny Cathcart, went at the swearing in of the board, and how he, you know, just stood up and said, hey, he's really behind Dr. Howard. And that right there is what prompted Church of What's Happening Now to put the 3 forums together, because this is our 3rd forum. We did one with Vice President Patricia Barksdale and Rashid Haq, and then we did one last week with Lenny Cathcart, and today we're here with you. And we're happy to have you 3, you know, you guys here, and to hear that positively things that you're showing this city, where before we heard so much negativity and everything. I want to go to another question. What about computers? Is the school computer literate?
Plainfield, surprisingly, is one of the top school districts in New Jersey for computer, well, let me say technology. We are, every child has opportunity to have a site on the internet. We have parents can come in and ask for sites. There are, we are connected with distance learning, so that children in Hubbard can actually speak to children in Maxon. And we are just moving along. In fact, next year we will be presenting as one of the top IT districts in New Jersey.
You know, see, these are the things that we're not heard. We don't hear. All we hear is so much of the negativity and everything and stuff. We don't hear these things because I was informed that by some of the constituents out here that we wasn't computer literate, that the school suffered a great deal because of that right there, and that a lot of parents was moving to put their kids into private school and things. So now to hear this here from Dr. Howard, I want the whole Plainfield community to understand and hear this. Come out to the board meetings that they have and everything, and get more involved. I want to ask a question I heard some years ago as an African American, that I heard a teacher say this here that really wasn't from our community. She said this. She said, you know, the black community need to embrace a body of learning through academia, through lectures and through reading and things of that nature. How do we get that across to the parents? How do we say, hey, you know what, we have to pick ourselves up from our bootstraps right here, and let us, although we are people that's really moved by the drum, we're moved by the spirit, but intellectually we suffer a lot because we don't grab it. It's not a thing, I think, that's passed down to anyone. It's the thing that's learned.
That's right. That's right. That's one of the things that we are working very hard in this year to try to actually pull parents in. We want the Plainfield Public Schools to be an open public school, that it's a partnership. We want parents to come in to learn with us, to teach children. Parents are the first teachers. And
Yes.
This community is rich with resources. And there are so many people that can come into the schools and sit down with a young person, sit down and mentor them, sit down with a young person and teach them a craft. And so what we're asking is the community to embrace the public schools and to come in and to work with us as a partner. We know right now that there are some parents, there are some families that are in crises, but that's what we're there for. We're there to work together to help those parents that are in crises. But what we ask is not sit out on the outside and say what we're not doing. Come on in the inside and help us to do.
Well, you know, that right there is good, you know, and, you know, when you look at the community of Plainfield, which is basically a beautiful community, you know, I'm always commenting on the beautiful structures that's around town and everything, but, you know, I want to ask you another question here, getting away from so much of education, but I guess it's still a part of education too. What is Plainfield Schools doing in terms of, what action are the Plainfield Board of Education taking against students who start up gangs and who are into gang violence and everything? We find that's a part of almost every city, but we find it here, deadhead in our city.
Well, there are a couple of things that we're approaching. We're approaching from a no-tolerance stand, but we're also approaching this problem from how do we support these kids. From no tolerance, one of the things that we have been working with